Well, that conversation earlier today, we'll be getting back into some of the rising crime across the country. But we want to start off the top of this hour with this story that now has gone viral. A pregnant woman in Texas is fighting a traffic ticket she says that she doesn't deserve. She's using the recent Supreme Court decision on abortion to make her case. Brandy Batoni is 34 weeks pregnant. An officer pulled her over and gave her a $215 ticket for driving in the high-occupancy or HOV lane. At least 2 people are supposed to be in the car to drive in that lane. Most of us know that. But Batoni argues that with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, her unborn baby should then count as a second person. She's planning to fight the ticket in court, and kind of funny enough, that court date is around the same time as her due date. But what kind of case does she have? Legal analyst Randy Zellen joining us live now. Randy, thanks for talking to us. A lot of people are talking about this with Roe v. Wade in the headlines. This is an interesting case that some say might be changing. She might have a pretty decent case in court. What do you think?
As I was saying, I would say that she has an excellent case. And she has an excellent case for a few reasons. First of all, even before the Supreme Court's recent overturning of Roe v. Wade, there was this notion that a fetus was viable at the 24-week mark. Therefore, even pre-Roe v. Wade, where Texas argued that a fetus was a person from the get-go, the Supreme Court determined that at 24 weeks, where the fetus was viable, that was a person. Now, post the overturning of Roe v. Wade, if we take the logical extension where Justice Alito said that Roe was egregiously wrong from the start, if a fetus is a person at conception, then certainly that pregnant mom is carrying a person, regardless of the age of the fetus. If she is carrying a person, then there are 2 people in that vehicle. And since, as you aptly note, the HOV law simply says you've got to have at least 2 people in the vehicle. It doesn't say where they have to be seated. It doesn't say that there must be one in the driver's seat and one in the passenger seat or one in the back seat. It simply says 2 people. So certainly the argument for her to go before a judge and say, Judge, I did not knowingly violate the law because I believed, and I believe that I am right, that in fact there were 2 people in my car, this case should be dismissed.
And do you think this could potentially set a major precedent for people in other states? Because with Roe v. Wade, we've been figuring out that now it's up to the states to decide whether or not they are going to uphold some of this abortion rights or restrictions in some cases. Now with this in the HOV lane, you know, pregnant women, could they possibly anywhere be able to drive in that lane?
Certainly, again, if you take a literal construction of the HOV law, which does not take into consideration where the people are seated, and since the law simply and overwhelmingly says you have to have 2 people in the vehicle, if we take the argument that that fetus is a person, then there are 2 persons in that vehicle, and any pregnant woman would therefore not be violating the HOV law because, in fact, there are 2 persons in that vehicle.
So would it have to do with each state's abortion law, though? Because depending on how far along the woman could be, you know, that could make the difference as well, too, right?
Well, certainly, again, as we saw with the onset of Roe v. Wade and the determination back in, I believe, 1973, that viability, where the fetus could exist outside of the womb, was at the 24-week mark. And that was this notion that 24 weeks, that fetus is a person. Certainly, even back in 1973, a 24-week fetus, the argument could be made that that fetus is a person. Now, you are right. Since Roe v. Wade is gone, and it will be up to the individual states to determine this notion of when a fetus is a person. Is the fetus a person at conception? Is the fetus a person at some later point? Then what we are going to see, and I hate to use the term slippery slope, but this is an example of where mindsets, laws that you're not even thinking of that are impacted or could be impacted are in fact impacted. And while certainly I would not presuppose to argue that the HOV law is as important, is as polarizing, is as important as to the argument, the essence of Roe v. Wade and the essence of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, what you're going to see is a domino effect where there are going to be these moments of, wait a minute, what about this?
Yeah.
And we're seeing it now. Wait a minute, the HOV lane,
right?
Pregnant woman, that's two people.
Right. Well, there's been cases like this in the past of pregnant women, being pulled over and, getting tickets because they said that it is not two people, not outside of the womb. And this is now different because of Roe v. Wade being overturned. Texas in particular, they have this transportation code. It hasn't been amended recently since the overturning, which you can imagine. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when it was amended. Do you foresee many of these states having to kind of take a step back, go look back at the code and change things up so that they can save themselves for cases like this? This is a $215 ticket that's really turned into a national talker.
Yes, and look, I'm not going to say that $215 is not a lot of money. If there was $215 on the ground, I would pick it up. I would try to find out who it belonged to, but I certainly wouldn't step over it. So let's not talk about it in terms of the money. I think what it will come down to the appetite of a prosecutor, the appetite of a judge. Am I the kind of prosecutor? Am I the kind of judge that is going to seize upon the opportunity to write about this subject? Or am I going to look at the 100 or the 200 or the 300 traffic cases that I have on my calendar and what's going to happen next and simply say, I'm dismissing these cases? And you may find prosecutors announcing to law enforcement, listen, you pull somebody over in the HOV lane and it is someone who appears to be pregnant, don't write the ticket. Or you may see jurisdictions who are focused and very interested on perpetuating the conversation, who will want to write about and who will want to make law and who will want to be published and who will want to have the opportunity to weigh in on this very topic. So I don't know that there's one size fits all in terms of what we will see. I think a lot of it will depend upon a prosecutor and it will depend upon a judge.
Well, like I said, that court date, July 20th, which is pretty close to her due date. So I think a lot of people are going to be watching what this ends up being if she is let off or if she is fined. That $215, who knows? People might raise some money for her and she'll be able to pay it off. Randy Zelen, any last thoughts on this case?
It's one of those issues. And again, we talk about the importance of the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the polarizing effect that it has had on our country. So it's very difficult to now say, okay, what are we going to do about the HOV lane? Because a case about an HOV ticket is not really the issue. Yeah. The issue is where you stand on a woman's right to autonomy over her body, a woman's right to choose, as opposed to the definition of life and the notion of abortion being wrong. So to go in now and turn it into a conversation about what do we do about our HOV laws, that's a rough one. But again, you may find judges and you may find prosecutors who will take the opportunity to now write about this and argue this and turn it to the conversation that we are having right now. I would like to think that there will be an easier solution, because think about it. And you know, my thought is, as I leave you, is what are we going to have police officers do? Pull over a woman. The woman appears to be pregnant. Are you going to ask the woman are you pregnant? Are you going to want confirmation that the woman is pregnant? Maybe the woman is not pregnant. Maybe there's another reason why the woman appears to be pregnant. You can see how this will unravel. How far along are you in terms of your pregnancy? What happens if I think that the woman, just to be in the HOV lane because the woman is in a rush, isn't really pregnant and has a pillow under her dress? I mean, you could see where this can take us, and I don't want to see it go there.
Yeah. Well, it is a conversation, and one that I'm happy we were able to speak to you about. Randy Zellen, thanks so much for being with us. And when this does come out, I'm sure there's a lot of other things that are going to come out of it. So we'll definitely talk to you again.
Thank you, as always, for having me.
Yeah, thank you. With